Welcome to my tutorial for a beginner's method of solving the Rubik's Cube. The first step that we're going to do is getting the white cross, okay? What I mean by this is, if we look here, we have all of the white edge pieces, and they are matched up with the color that it needs to go with, okay? So we have this edge right here, and it matches up with this center, the white, and this center, the red. Same with this, matches up with those, that, and same with green, okay? So there are a couple ways of doing this. You can do it where you just put them in where they need to go. So we know that red is always opposite, or always to the left of green when white is on the bottom. So what we can do is, we have green right here, we have red right here. We can turn this and put red to the left of green, okay? And then when we turn these, we have them in place. And then we already have blue ready, so we can do that. Now, for orange, when we need to put it down in this slot, okay? So if we turn it like that, it's going to go right here. So what we want to do is turn this slot that it's going to go in like that. And then when we turn this down, it'll go in there. And we can see, even though these don't match up, orange is on the right of green. So we still have orange to the right of green. When we turn this, we have them all matched up, okay? I'm gonna mess this up and show another way of doing this. You don't always have to, let me mess it up a little bit more. So you don't have to look at whether it's to the right or left or anything like that. What we can do is turn that, we've got it matched up. Okay, we need red in this slot, so we see it needs to go in this slot. When we put it down, it's automatically gonna go down here, so we need to move its slot so that it goes down there. Move it in, then move it back. And we've got it, okay? Next one, let's look for another. Okay, orange. So what we can do, it's a little tricky to see when it's right here, but if we turn it, it's only 2 turns away from being in the right spot. It needs to be right here, okay? So let's look at it like this. If we turn the piece that's right here into that slot, it's gonna go there, right? It's gonna keep the blue right here and just move it down. So what if we turn that piece right there and then put it down? We can do that. And now we've got 3 out of the 4. Blue. Okay, we've seen this before. We need to turn it down, but we need its slot to be in the place. So we move it into the spot, get it in there, and move it back. And we've got all 4. Let me show one more that may be a little easier for those that may not be following this as much. What I call this is the daisy method. The reason I call it the daisy method is because we're getting all of the white pieces on this yellow slot. And what makes this easier is we're not worrying about this. We're not worrying about whether they match up with the colors just yet. We're just trying to get all of the white pieces around the yellow. And it looks like a daisy because we've got the yellow pollen and then the white petals. So let's look. We've got red already here. We need, let's look at green. Green can be moved up. However, if we move it up, it's going to move red out of the way. See? So we need to move red out of the way, then move green up. Let me show. I have a weird case there that well, it's a good case, but I want to be able to show this orange without, this blue without getting that. I'm trying to show all of the cases that can come up here. So in this case, we have blue on the top layer with the yellow, but the white isn't facing the right way. It's flipped the wrong way. So what can we do? Well, we kind of saw this a few minutes ago when showing that other method, but what we can do is move it down, okay, so that then we can move it up, okay? See, I'm gonna reverse that. It was right here. We move it down out of the way, or out of this top section. What that'll do is allow us to move it up, okay? Now, let's see, we've got this orange. In this case, because it's already in line with this, I wouldn't normally want to mess this up, but I just want to show how to get the full daisy. So I'm gonna still show this. We're gonna, if we turn it all the way up, it's gonna be in the right spot, but now it knocked out green. So we don't want to do that. Let's reverse what we just did. And instead, let's turn the top layer so that then when we move it up, it doesn't knock anything important out of the way. Okay, so now we have the daisy. Don't worry about this. I'm going to replace that with something else. So now we have the daisy. White all around, edge pieces around the yellow. So now what we can do is we're going to be looking for this color match, okay? So that matches. Oh, well, okay. So we got very lucky with this, and they already match. Normally, and I'm gonna just mess this up just so we can kind of see the normal way that we would do this. So don't follow what I'm doing right now. I'm just getting it to a better case so that we can look at this more realistically, okay? So in this case, we've got one that's correct. That's average. That one's not, that one's not, that one's not. Okay, no big deal. That's why we have them up here and not down here. So we have blue matched up. Let's turn it. And now it's matched up. Let's turn the cube to the next side. That's matched? No. Turn this top layer to see if it matches. Nope. Turn this top layer, see if it matches. Yes. Okay, do our double turn, and then turn the cube again. Okay, and that's not even close. That's not a white edge. Let's look at this one. Does it match? Yep. Do our double turn, and then turn the cube. Does it match? Yep. So double turn, and now we have our cross. Once again, don't worry about that. We've got our cross. Okay? So that is step one. Step two, we're wanting to get all of these corners. What do I mean by that? This is what it'll look like. So we're gonna see this kind of T pattern. Don't worry about this one. There we go. So we're gonna see this little T here on all four sides once we have these corners in place, okay? What we're looking for is a corner with a white piece, or the white color, and then it'll have two other colors. And we're gonna be matching it up with the two centers that it goes with, okay? So let's go to our other cube and look for some white corners. What we're gonna start off with is looking for them on this top layer here. If we look at it from, like, this is one layer right here. This is the second layer, and this is the third one. We're kind of moving up. So we're working on this layer, then this layer, then this layer, okay? So we are looking on the top layer for white edges, white corners, sorry, white corners. Some of them, as we can see, are already on this bottom layer. These two aren't in the right spot, nor are they, well, this one's flipped correctly. It's just not in the right spot. But either way, we may find some of them there, and I'll show what to do in that case. But for now, let's work on this one. So it's already in the correct spot. I know that because it has white, so it's going to go there. And then we have green, orange, and we're looking at green, orange, okay? So it's going to go straight down. If we look at it just like this, if this is our front face, it's on the top right, and it's going to go straight down right there. So what we're going to do is, if green is our front face and white is our bottom layer, everything else comes into position with that. What we're going to do is the algorithm R, U, R prime, U prime, okay? And that put it in the right spot, but it's not flipped correctly. So we're going to have to do that a few more times. So I'll show that again. Still with green on the front, and this on our right side, R, U, R prime, U prime. Okay, well, it took it out, but if we notice, it got rotated. The white was here, and now it's up here. So we're gonna have to do that a few more times to get it rotated fully, okay? So R, U, R prime, U prime. R, U, R prime, U prime. R, U, R prime, U prime. And now it is there. So you may have to do that probably up to 5 times to get it correct. In some cases, like this one, I can tell that this one will only take 1 time, and we'll look at that in just a second. But in the case that we had, it took 5 times to get it, and that's okay. We just have to keep doing it. So we've got this one correct. Now we got 3 more to do. So these two, let's not look at those yet. Let's look at the one that's still on the top layer, okay? And it's not over the right spot yet. So let's turn it to this spot. Okay, let's look. Red, blue, and we've got the white, which means it goes there. So we have this little corner. It's not in the right spot. But when we put this in the right spot, it's going to put this up here. Because what our algorithm does, the RU, R prime, U prime, it switches these 2 pieces. And it does switch these 2 pieces as well, this and this, but we don't need to worry about that. All we need to know is when this one gets put into the correct spot, this one gets taken out of the wrong spot, okay? So, and that will come up and when I show a couple cases that can come up. So, once again, we have our white piece. The white is over here, but this is our white corner. That's what the corner is seen as a white piece because it has white on it. So, we're going to keep it on this side, top right. Blue is our front face now. White's still on the bottom. And we're going to do R, U, R prime, U prime. And see, it got put in there in 1 try. I knew this because the white was on this side. So as we can see, the white can either be here, here, or here. If it's here, when we do our algorithm, it's going to take 5 times to get it rotated correctly. If it's here, it'll take 3 times. And if it's here, just 1 time, okay? You don't need to memorize that. You'll learn it as you continue doing this. I just wanted to point that out. So now we have this piece, and now it's on the top layer where we want it, so we can put it where we need it. However, before we do that, I just want to show a quick case that you can run into where you don't have any corners on the top layer. So don't pay attention to what I just did. You don't need to understand the moves I did, but what I'm showing is we've got both of our white corners that we need to put into the right spot down here. So we need to act like we're going to replace it with the correct one, okay? Like I said, whatever is up here will get put down here, and whatever here will get put here, okay? So what we can do is find a random corner. Doesn't matter which one it is, it will get replaced eventually. So we're just going to use this one. It's already there. It's easy enough. We're going to do R, U, R prime, U prime. And now we've got this up here. So now we can look. No, it's not there. Look. Yes. Red, green, red, green. We've got our white, which means it goes there. So we do, and we can see it's on this part of the corner. So it's only going to take one time. So we've got, this is our front face, our white corner, it's top right, and R, U, R prime, U prime. And now it knocked this one out. So now we can put it in our last corner. It's right here, so it's going to take 5 times. So we're going to go a little bit faster. R, U, R prime, U prime, 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 R, U, R prime, U prime. And now we've got our, excuse me, we've got our full white face with the T's. These are upside down, obviously. If it was a T, it would probably be up like that. But we can see it as a Tetris piece. If you've ever played Tetris, this is a T piece in that game, so we can see it like that. And that is the whole first layer done. So you're 1/3 of the way getting this solved. Even more if you count the centers. All right. Step 3. We want to get these edge pieces on the center layer or middle layer into their right spot. And that is going to look like this. See how these match up with red, green, goes between red, green. That's what we're trying to do, okay? So, once again, just like we did with the corners, we're gonna look for pieces on the top layer first. You may run into a case where you don't have any on the top layer, and they're all already in these slots, just in the wrong spot, or rotated incorrectly. And that can happen, and I'll show what to do. It's gonna be the same thing that we showed with the incorrect corner. We're just gonna pop it out, replace it with something else, so that when then we can use it for its correct purpose. So let's look for well, let's work on this piece. Okay, this is the first one that popped out to me. We've got green, orange. Okay, so let's look. Nope. Green, orange. So we're going to rotate this top layer until we get our green, orange here. And we can see green, orange, the edge matches up with, if we're looking at this as if this edge is our front, just for right now, and that's right, this is left, right, left, then our green, orange is on the right side, okay? So what we're gonna do is look at the side that it matches up with. So we're gonna turn like that, and then turn this piece opposite the green, or opposite the other face that it didn't match up with. What I mean by that, by the way, is when we turn this, it doesn't match up. The green color that would match here is on the top. So, but when we turn it like that, it does match, okay? So we're gonna turn and look at the color it matches with, and then turn this away from the other color. So it's here, green is here. Then we're gonna do a very similar algorithm to what we did before, the RU, R prime, U prime, but we're gonna do a mirrored image of it, okay? So what we're gonna do is, orange is our front, L prime, U prime, L, U, okay? Then we're gonna turn the cube to the other face, that it didn't match up with before, and now do R, U, R prime, U prime. Okay, and we've got it. So what that does is it takes whatever piece was here and knocks it out. It's going to put it on this top face and puts the piece that we were looking at in here. Okay, so let's try that again. I see that this will be the same case as we had, so I can show that once more. So when we look at orange, blue, we're looking at the orange, blue centers and looking at this edge as if that's the front. This is on the right side again, okay? So we're gonna look at the blue, turn it away from the other color, and then do L prime, U prime, L, U. Turn to the other color, R, U, R prime, U prime. Okay, now we've got those two in the right spot. Okay, so I see that this will be the other case that can happen, okay? Because you may be thinking, it's not always gonna match up with that right color, and you're correct. It's about a 50-50 shot, 50% this side, 50% this side, okay? So you need to know both cases, but it's pretty much the same exact thing, just a mirrored version of what we were just doing. So this time it matches up, excuse me, with the left side. So we're gonna look at the right, or the red. We're gonna look at the red side. This is the other color. So move this away from the other color. And now, because this is the slot that we wanna do it on is on the right, we're gonna start with the R, U, R prime, U prime. Okay, and then turn to the other color and do L prime, U prime, L, U. The way to remember which one to start with, because you're always going to do both of those, okay? So the way to remember which one to start with is which side, when you turn to look at the correct color that it matches up with, so in this case red, when you turn to look at that color, whichever side the slot is on. So this is our slot right here. Whichever side the slot is on is the side that you're going to start with. So if you're thinking the L or the R, this one's going to be the L. So in this case, we're going to turn that away from the opposite color. L prime, U prime, L, U, turn, R, U, R prime, U prime. And we've got it. So let's look at a case real quick. I'm just gonna move my cube and fix, or break this, I guess, and not fix it. So let's look at this case. It's in the right spot, but it's turned incorrectly. There are fast ways of fixing this, but I'm gonna show just for beginner's sake, not having to learn a whole lot of things, just the easy way of knowing how to fix this. It's exactly what I've taught already. And it's the same kind of thing as when the corner wasn't in the right spot. We're just knocking this out. We can pick any piece at this point. We can pick this one. I know it doesn't match up with this, but we're not gonna find the correct piece that goes here because it's right here. So we're just gonna pretend that this matches up with here and move it to the opposite side and do, since this is on our left, L prime, U prime, L, U, and then R, U, R prime, U prime. And now our piece is out. It's up on the top layer. And now we can do it once again. If it were in there incorrectly, like I just showed, you could do it where you start with the RU, R prime, U prime, and then turn and do the other one. Either one works. Both will get this out of the slot so that we can fix it. So once again, it's matched up here. Turn to the correct face, turn it away from the other face, and put it into the spot. So one more thing I want to show. There we go. Okay. So we have two pieces that are already down here, but they're not in the correct spot, okay? In this case, once again, we would do the same thing I just showed. Pick a random piece and replace it. And once we replace this one, I'll show this. So we're gonna use this one. We're gonna move it away from the opposite face, do our same algorithm, and now we have this up here. So now what is useful, we don't need to knock this one out of its place with a random one. We're gonna knock it out with this one, right? Because once we put this in the correct spot, this one's gonna get out. So then we can put this in the correct spot and we're good. And we're knocking out that random piece we put in, okay? So, once again, on the right side, look at green, turn that away, L prime, U prime, L, U, turn, R, U, R prime, U prime. And then we've got this one, once again. And now we have the whole second layer. All right. All right, so we have our first two layers, and that's great. We're 2/3 of the way done. This is where it can get a little bit tricky, so so bear with me. Just getting this whole last layer. There are about 4 steps to it, so it can be a little bit longer than the rest of it, and that's just because we're trying to fix all of this while maintaining this. We're going to be breaking it up a little bit, but it'll come back to where it is, okay? So in this case, we're trying to get the yellow cross now. That's going to look like this. It's yellow cross. That's all we're trying to do. We're not worrying about whether these match up or anything just yet. That's the next step. We're just trying to get this yellow cross. So I want to show all of the ways that this can look. After you've finished the second layer, it can either have a dot, a J, a minus sign, or the cross. And if it's the cross, you're good. Skip this step. You got lucky, and that can happen. However, if you have any of these cases, it's a pretty simple solution to get it to that cross, and I'm going to show how that can look. Now, it may not look exactly like this, where you have this J. I'm going to show I made all of the corners not facing their yellow up so that you can easily see the shape. But in this case, we do have the J, okay? We have this J. We're only looking at the edge pieces. We're not worrying about here. So pretend those are covered up and then look at those, okay? So you may have that where you're not able to easily see that J, or may not easily see this dot or anything like that. But make sure you're only paying attention to these edge pieces, because that's going to be the case with any of these 4 that I showed, the dot, J, minus, or the cross. These corners can be faced up with these yellows. In this case, for instance, what we have on our main cube that we're doing the tutorial on, I do have the minus, but I've got these 2 facing up. So keep that in mind. So what we're gonna do, let me move these out of the way and come back to this. So there is only one algorithm you have to learn, and it's basically the same one that we've been using, the R, U, R prime, U prime. That's what this this method is based off of, is just learning that algorithm and then a couple other things. So that's what I'm trying to build off of. So we have our minus. And in this case, we only need to do this one time. But what we're gonna do is have the minus here, and then turn to one of the front faces. In this case, with the minus, we could look at it here or here, as long as we've got the minus, okay? We're gonna do an F, and then R, U, R prime, U prime, and then an F prime. And now we've got our cross. So, all we're doing is we're doing an F turn, like that, doing our algorithm that we already know, and then reversing the F turn. So, F prime. That's all we're doing. And then we check. We've got the cross. Okay, we're good. However, let's say we had the J. We're gonna look at the J like this. There's only one way you can look at this. This way, it makes an L, so it's not a J. This way, I guess, is a lowercase r, so that's not a J. That's just a weird symbol, and that's not a J, so we have to look at it like this. So, once again, F, our algorithm, and then F prime. And now we've got the line. You know what to do there. Do it again. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And we've got that. So the only other case that you may run into is the dot, okay? This one's a little bit trickier, but don't worry, you've got this. So look at the dot any way. Any way you look at it, it's a dot. So you're gonna do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, and then F prime. And what do you see? You see a potential J. So we're gonna turn this, and now we've got the J. And now F, R, U, R prime, U prime. Now we're at the line, F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And now we've got the cross, okay? So that is the third step, and you're doing great. Or maybe fourth. I don't remember what step we're on. All right, we were on step 4. Now we are on step 5. I get confused easily. So in this case, now what we're wanting to do is get these matched up. None of these are matched up so far, but what it's going to look like is this. And we're gonna be almost done once we get this. We've only got 2 steps after this one, okay? So 3 steps total, you've got this. We are learning a new algorithm though. It's pretty simple. It's only using two of the faces, R and U. But we're gonna throw something extra in there. We're gonna throw a U2. And I'm gonna show what that is, okay? So, let's turn this so that we have only one correct, okay? You may have, and when you've got these, you may already be at this spot. That can happen. Or you may be where they're not, it's not turned correctly, but it's just a couple turns away from being correct, okay? So check that, see if your colors match up. You may also, oops, that's not what I wanted. Bear with me one second. You may be in this case, okay? Where no matter how you turn it to get one correct, that's not what I wanted either. Huh. Well, it may be where when you have one correct, you also have another correct. And so the 2 opposite colors are correct and the 2 opposite, other 2 opposites are not correct. I thought I was setting that up, but apparently I messed it up. So in that case, do what I, do the algorithm and then try to get just one correct, okay? So in this case, none of these are right except for orange. So we're gonna look at orange and we're gonna do R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime, okay? And then look, and we've got them all correct. You may have, excuse me, you may have to do that a couple times because the way it rotates, it may not rotate it the correct way the first time, but it'll get it the second. So let me show that again. And watch this little pair, okay? What I mean by that is these two pieces, okay? If you just look at this and kind of watch what it's doing, all right? So we're gonna do R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. See, we got those messed up, so that's okay. What this pair is doing though, if you look, it's going up here. It's kind of going on a little ride around this top layer and then going back into its spot. That's all it's doing, okay? So R, U, R prime, U, R, U2. That U2 you can remember because when you do it, you're going to see this white line here, and this whole little 2x3 block will be built again, and then we can put that down, okay? And once again, we're in the correct spot. Let me do this correctly and show in the case where you have 2 that are correct and 2 that are not correct, okay? So look at one that's correct and do R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime, okay? And now we see we have 2 that are correct and 2 that are not. So what we can do is turn to one that is, one of the ones that was not correct, turn to that one. And now, none of those are, and this one is. So, and now we're good, okay? So that is step whatever we're on, I think step 5, and we're almost done. All right, so we got the cross, we got these corners, we got our edges, we got the yellow cross, and we got these in the correct spot. What else do we have to do? We need to get these corners in the right spot, that's the next step, and then rotated correctly, okay? So, what this is gonna look like at the end of this step, I believe step 6, is this. And this may not look correct, but let me show you. So, we have yellow, red, blue, okay? Yellow, red, blue, which means it goes in this corner. Same thing with this, yellow, green, red, red, okay? So it goes in between all 3 of these centers. Same with that, same with that. Excuse me. In this case, you're going to either have one that is correct and the other 3 that are not, like that. You're going to have all 4 correct, and that's good. Just skip this step, you're already done, and that can luckily happen sometimes. Or you have none that are correct, and that's okay. You're just gonna have to do the algorithm that I show one extra time. But that's fine. So let me show in the case that it is correct, and then I'll show what to do when you don't have a single one, okay? So this one is going to be a little tricky, okay? It's gonna be a little more advanced than what we've been showing, and that's all right. I think you've got it. You've made it this far, so I believe in you. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So we want, if we're looking at it like this, we want our correct corner on the bottom right of our cross here. And so these may be facing yellow up. Don't worry about that. We still have the yellow cross. We still want it on the bottom right, okay? So we're gonna want our correct piece here, and then look at this front face. So now it's on the top right of our front face. Bottom right of up, top right of front, okay? Sorry if that's a little confusing. Okay, so you're gonna start on our right side. Then, here's what we're gonna do. Watch what the U face does and pay attention to the patterns that are going on with the movements, okay? So we're gonna do U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L, okay? Now we've got all of our corners in the right spot. But let me keep showing this, okay? Okay, so pay attention once again to the patterns of it, because what's happening is this face is just going like that. Rotate, rotate back, rotate, rotate back, okay? And these are doing the same thing. Rotate, rotate, rotate back, okay? We're just putting them all together, okay? So, rotate, rotate, rotate back, rotate, rotate, rotate back, rotate back, rotate back, okay? So, let me show one more time with the, actually I may have to do it a couple of times to fix this, but let me show it with the algorithm notation, okay? U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L, okay? So, once again, this is just going back and forth. Between every move you do, this is either gonna go this way or this way, and it's just gonna reverse what you did the previous time. You're always either doing a right turn or a left turn, or a turn on the right face, turn on the left face, okay? And once again, whatever you did before on that face, you're reversing it, okay? So, I'm gonna turn here. We're gonna turn that up. We're gonna turn this back, and then turn that up. Now it's their turn to turn up. Turn this again, turn that down. Turn this again, turn that down, okay? And we're back to having everything correct. So, what if nothing is correct? Well, in that case, just find a random corner and do the algorithm. And I 100% guarantee you, if your cube is not messed up in some way, it wasn't put together correctly, it will give you a correct corner, okay? And I can show you with this, not a single one is correct. Not a single one, and we're gonna do and now we've got one. See? And it will always be just one that is correct in that case. And now we can do it again. And I accidentally solved the entire thing. That can happen sometimes when doing this step. It can fix the next step, and that's okay. That's just, you saved some time. But in the case where that didn't happen, we're gonna move on to the next step. All right, I think this is step 7. I've lost track. It's fine. It's the next step after the one we just did. So we've got this case. We've got all of our corners in the right spot. Some of them may be correctly oriented, that's okay, or rotated, and that's okay. We may also have, like I showed in the previous step, where they're all correct, they're just not turned correctly, and that's okay. And if we've done it, if we've gotten lucky on the last step, it may be solved. So you can skip this and you're done. However, let's see in this one. All of these are gonna have the same steps, besides being solved, of course, but all of these are gonna have the same steps of what you're gonna do, okay? You're gonna forget about any correct ones. You're gonna take a incorrect one and put it in that same slot that we had when we were doing the previous step of the rotating the corners, the U, R, all of that, okay? So once again, it's the bottom right of the top face, top right of the front face, okay? Now, we're gonna do a kind of mirror version of the RU, R prime, U prime. It's gonna be a very similar algorithm, but here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use this bottom face instead of the top one, okay? So we're gonna do R prime, D prime, D for down, R, D, okay? We're gonna continue doing that. R prime, D prime, R, D. R prime, D prime, R, D. R prime, D prime, R, D. Okay. And now we have our yellow corner sticking up. Don't pay attention to all of this mess. That may throw you off. You may think, oh no, I've messed it up. You have messed up the cube, but it's calculated chaos, okay? It's ordered chaos. We know what's going on, okay? It's going to get fixed. So what we're gonna do is turn this top layer. That's all we're doing, turning this top layer so that our next incorrect corner is on top. And then we're gonna do it again. R prime, D prime, R, D. R prime, D prime, R, D. We keep doing that to get this. Yes, we did fix all of that. I told you it'd get fixed. Just believe me that it'll continue getting messed up until all of these are fixed, okay? R prime, D prime, R, D. R prime, D prime, R, D. Okay, we're in the same situation. We've got our yellow up, so that means it's fixed, it's done. We move on to the next one, okay? R prime, D prime, R, D. 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 And then, I think you can figure out what to do from here. We just need a U2 to get that fixed. So there are several ways your top layer can look. Let's see. Don't pay attention to how these edges are, but it can look like this, where you have just these two, or it can look like this, where you have 2 and 2. This yellow may be here, and that yellow would be there. There are several ways that this can look. However, it's going to be the same exact process. Okay, it's the same exact process as I was showing. It's just the R prime, D prime, R, D. R prime, D prime, R, D. Then once you get this correct, you move on to the next corner. R prime, D prime, R, D. 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 Move on to the next one. And we've got it correct. Move on to the next one. And there we go. And then just fix that top layer and you're good. So, if you've made it this far, you've solved a Rubik's Cube, congratulations. Keep practicing. Let me tell you, the steps that you're doing, especially the RU, R prime, U prime, practice that. Practice that a lot so that you can get it a lot faster, okay? That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just doing, I can't do it very well with the position of the camera that I've got, but if you can get that fast, you're gonna get the whole solve fast. Get used to looking at the different patterns and things that show up, and just keep practicing. You'll get it. You'll get this down. You may have to have a cheat sheet, and that's okay. You'll eventually get it muscle memory where you don't even have to think about it. But thank you for watching. Some tips will be after this. Okay, so I had to readjust my camera. Hopefully that doesn't throw you off. But I wanted to show some one tip that's going to help you improve and get faster, okay? And it's going to help you in many ways with learning the algorithms, because it's going to be put into muscle memory rather than having to think about the moves. So when I do that move, I don't think about RU, R prime, U prime. I just think about the algorithm itself and just doing these moves. And my fingers do the rest, okay? So that's why I can do a long algorithm like this while talking without even thinking about it, okay? I could probably do basic math while doing this and hold on a full conversation while doing these moves without even thinking about it, because I've practiced it enough and it's gotten down to just muscle memory. And that's what you want to strive for. That's what you want to get. And so the way to do that is you don't want to use your whole wrist for turning these. You can when you're starting, but you don't get into a habit of doing that, because the best way to get fast and to really just learn the algorithms is to use finger tricks, okay? And what I mean by that is, let's look at when we were doing the very last algorithm, the R D prime R prime D prime R D, okay? If you notice, I'm not really doing much for that bottom layer. I'm just using my my ring finger on my right hand, okay? And then I'm also using my ring finger on my left hand to move it back and forth. See? Same thing with up here. We're just doing a quick little flick. All right? Just kind of pushing it like that. When you're doing a U2, you can use your index and middle finger and do like that. I haven't really practiced it too much with my left hand, but you want to try to get good at doing it with both, okay? Because you're going to eventually start using that a lot when you learn more advanced methods, if you're wanting to do that. Just better algorithms for getting things done faster and more efficiently. In this method, it was mainly for easiness of learning and not having to memorize a whole lot of algorithms or a whole lot of different things. This was more of just using this simple R, U, R prime, U prime, and doing a lot with that. And then obviously we had to add a couple other things, but you know, that's okay. So you want to, if you are right-handed, if you write with your right hand, then you want to kind of hold the puzzle like this with your left. This is going to be the back. I'm just showing the back of how I hold the puzzle. With these two fingers, kind of holding this block, okay? Holding that block. Your left index on this side, so it can do a U. It turns anytime it needs to. And then just thumb right here, kind of holding the center of this block, because most algorithms you do are going to be doing these RU, R's and U's, those kinds of things. And so those are the easiest ones to do, and that's why most algorithms have those as the dominant moves that you do. You also have some F turns in there, and that's okay. This can easily slide with your index finger like that, or thumb, bringing it up like that. And it just slides right under here. You're not gripping real tight so that you have to force this or anything. It's just like a light holding it, just kind of holding it into place. You'll find the grip that works for you. For a back turn, I use my ring finger here. And once again, you can do ring finger middle and do a quick turn like that. This isn't used too often, so I don't have great finger tricks for that. I don't like back turns. I try to avoid them as much as possible, but it happens. You may have to do a regrip and do left turns, and that will be the case with doing this second layer. And so in that case, just hold it the exact same way. These two fingers here, this here, and then just doing with your index and middle finger, doing these U-turns, and then doing like that. And that's a good way of holding it. That's a good way of doing it. And that way, if we look at the R prime, U prime, we can turn it, and as we're turning it, we're kind of pressing on this piece here, okay? So that we can easily turn like that, and then just go down. And then we turn back with this. So if we look, as we're kind of finishing up the one move, we're doing the next one. So it's not, obviously that's how I would teach it, but that's not how I do it in the solve. It's kind of one fluid motion. And one thing I will point out, if when you're practicing this and you're getting these algorithms down, your wrist or fingers start hurting or they become sore, stop, okay? Just stop. You don't want to cause any pain or any serious injury like that. Just come back to it at a later time, that's all right. But that probably means you've practiced a lot, and that's good. That's a good thing. So let's look at the rotating the edges, okay? The R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime, okay? Let's look at that. If we are trying to do that quickly, we can do it kind of like that. That wasn't too fast. I'm not the best at this. I'm just gonna say that right now. I'm not super fast, but compared to competitors and things like that. But I try to do everything with a fluid motion as much as I can. And the way I'm doing this is, as I go up, I'm pushing that. And then as I'm coming down, I'm pushing with my pinky to get that. And then I kind of have to regrip and go like that. And as I'm coming back, I'm getting ready for that U2. And then I push it down. So how that looks a little faster. So not everybody is going to use the same finger tricks. Not everybody's going to do the same exact things, and that's okay. Find what is best for you. Find what is comfortable. Anything, you don't want to be gripping it like this or something, even if that's the fastest way, because that's going to be uncomfortable. So find what works for you. Let's look at the last algorithm. In this case, we can do R prime, just turning the whole thing with our hand, but then using our ring finger to move that and then move it back up and fix it with the ring finger on this hand, okay? And notice you may, if you're trying to go too fast, you may make some mistakes. But you'll get precision as you get better with it. But the best way to practice is trying to go as fast as you can with it to get that down. Because the faster you can do the algorithm, the faster your solve is going to be to an extent. There are other factors, I should say, such as being able to look ahead and predict what's going to happen with your next move. Notice patterns, notice what is happening so that you can easily identify this is the next step, this is what I need to do, things like that. But your turn speed is definitely going to be a big thing. So let's look at the hard algorithm here. The one where, this one I'm not too used to. I don't use it very often because I have different methods that I use, and so this isn't really one that I use much, so I don't have it as far as good finger tricks. However, what we can do is the U and the R we can kind of put together. If we are doing that and kind of turning with it, and then do the same with that while having that the U in there. So let me show that a little slower. So as this is going, we're turning up, and as this is going, we're turning back. Okay. As that's going, we're turning the left side up, and then turning the U face there. Turn that, and there we go. So it does require some regrips in there, which isn't the best for in an algorithm. You try to avoid those, but I find this is an easier algorithm to learn. It is a hard one. I will admit that it is a hard one in the in this beginner method, but if you're up to this point, you've got it. So I hope this helps, and I hope you can get a lot faster with this and have a lot of fun with solving this puzzle. Thank you. Bye.